GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Hey, this is Raven Black, and you're listening to the All Bets Are Off podcast with Robbie Vegas.
What's up, rock soldiers, and welcome back to the All Bets Are Off podcast. I am your host, as always, the rock star Robbie Vegas, and we are getting back to my UPW brothers today, and things are going to get a little tasty in here with Keenan Moore. And some of you who don't know what I'm talking about, maybe my out-of-town or out-of-state listeners are going, what the fuck? Why are things getting tasty? You're going to find out. So stick around. You're going to love this guy. We're going to talk UPW, Flower City Wrestling Academy, just pro wrestling in general, a little bit of music and movie talk in there too. As you know, we like to throw in there on the All Bets Are Off podcast. But before I get to that, I want you to know that today's episode is brought to you by ABAO. ABAO is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey in Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your travel details and ABAO will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation for 2021. And best of all, using ABAO saves you time and money. That's a win in our books. ABAO wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to ABAO.com and use the code ABAO5 at checkout. That's OMIO 5. Valid until July 31st for new users on all modes of transport. It's just the pick-me-up 2021 needs. ABAO. Plan, book, and love the journey. Terms and conditions apply. So, let's not waste any more time and get Keenan on the phone. What's going on, Tasty?
Not much. Just got off the treadmill, took a shower, and now I'm here.
Look at that. Always working, man. Always working hard.
Just trying to keep it going, keep busy, that's all.
Well, listen, man, we're already recording, so you're on the spot right now.
Oh, word.
So, we're going to kick this off, and I just want to, let everybody know, I think I've known you for, 2, maybe more than 2 years now? 3?
Probably 2 and a couple months. Because I remember the first time we met was me getting thrown out of a battle royal, and you and Cody Love were on the outside. I get tossed over by Dewey in 30 seconds and land directly on both of you.
Yes, I remember that. I remember getting back to the locker room and saying, just so you know, you came down on my head.
What a way to meet someone.
Yeah, right. And then it was, the handshake and, all right, I guess we're friends now because you've landed full body on my skull.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I want to talk to you about pretty much everything, but we're going to start with where wrestling started for you personally. So do you remember how you became a fan?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty funny story. I remember, I don't know if it was, post Father's Day or post my dad's birthday, because his birthday's in April. His parents, my grandparents, buy him this video game for the Wii, and he's obviously I'm not gonna play this. So he I forgot what it was, but he returns it, and then he brings me home WWE All Stars for the Wii. And then it just took off from there, and it wasn't even a SmackDown versus Raw where it's so WWE All Stars, the moves were just so, I don't know how to put it unless you played it, just so exaggerated. When you hit, say, Kane's hitting a choke slam for his finish, he's doing, 2 fucking front rolls or front flips, and then he's hitting me with the choke slam. Or Undertaker with the tombstone, he's doing a backflip and hitting the tombstone. So from there, I was just like, all right, I gotta learn more about this.
So it was like cartoony almost. Everything was very like, it wasn't as realistic as the SmackDown versus Raw games.
Right. And probably 2 months after that, I started watching Raw. I think the first match was R-Truth versus Rey Mysterio in a tournament match. Like, me watching that now, I'd probably have different opinions, but me when I was like 10 years old watching that, I'm like, oh, this is even cooler.
Yeah, right.
Because I didn't know what to expect after playing that video game.
So who did you gravitate towards as far as like some of your favorites and inspirations when you were that young?
So when I was 10, my first favorite wrestler was Triple H, and then from there, I had a phase for everyone. I had a Cena phase, I had a CM Punk phase, but then I think probably a year into being a fan, I think Dolph Ziggler was my big, just like 10-year-old to like 13-year-old favorite wrestler. So
that's awesome. And you met him too, didn't you?
Yeah, I've actually met him a couple times, and he was the first pro wrestler I met. It was right before a SmackDown show. I think it was my first SmackDown. We didn't even know he was like doing a meet and greet outside of the First Niagara Center at the time. So we're just getting there early just to wait in line for the show, and it's like, oh, it's Dolph Ziggler. And then there was a pretty big line, but like luckily I was probably like the last person to like meet him right before, and it was super cool.
That's awesome. I actually remember that. Wasn't he outside in like a merch truck kind of thing?
Yeah. And I got the picture somewhere on my Facebook of me and him matching outfits too. I got the pink glasses, the same shirt as him. That picture has aged very well. And hopefully it'll continue to age well.
That's fantastic. So
yeah.
How old were you when you actually started training? And just so everybody knows, you train at the Flower City Wrestling Academy.
Correct. So right after my senior year of high school wrestling, it was probably 2 months after my 18th birthday is when I started training. And I remember my first day, I was just like absolutely terrified. Like, I'd been the one UPW show before, so I like kind of knew the deal. Mm-hmm. So like when I walked in, there was just like, Maddox, Caden, Jensen at the time, Process. Yeah. And then I just look in the corner, and Cloudy sitting there. I remembered Cloudy from the UPW show. So I went straight to him first, like after like introducing myself to everyone. And then, yeah, Cloudy was the one that kind of made me comfortable just like on my first day, just talking with this guy.
Oh, that's awesome. So how did you discover UPW? Are you actually from Rochester or are you from Buffalo?
So I'm from Rochester, like the Penfield area. Okay. But going to college at UB. Okay. So I remember the one UPW show I went to as a fan. I met this, my buddy Anthony at a Young Bucks meet and greet in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. I think it was like the 2018 Nickel City Comic-Con or whatever. Yeah, I remember that. And then 2 weeks later, he was telling me about a Jake the Snake meet and greet at Flower City Comic-Con. And he's like, oh, there's a wrestling show during it too. And then he took me to Pop Rock right before when Colin and Ando were still running stuff. Mm-hmm. So I got to meet them. And then the first I saw, I think you were in a tag match. It was Nightbreed versus Defiance.
Yes.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know there's 2 days for that show. And I went to the, whatever the Sunday one was, which I'm assuming is day 2 for that.
Yes, yep. I remember that match very well. It's one of my favorite matches that I've had.
It was fun. It was a fun show. And I remember the first match on that card, too, was Colin versus Ando versus Cloudy versus Cheech, which was it was a smart way to hooking me into wanting to train for Flower City Wrestling Academy, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when did you approach Mike, or who did you talk to about getting into Flower City?
So I reached out to the just the regular upstate pro wrestling email. Like I know that's Maddox, so I was talking with Maddox about starting.
Oh, okay.
Not knowing at the time it was Maddox on the other side of the email.
Right. So now, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but didn't you have your first match like relatively quickly after you started training?
Yeah, so non-battle royal spot, my first match was, I think it was 3 months after I started training. It was a 6-man tag at NYCW.
Ah, okay.
It was me, Matt Lawson, and Dakota Orion versus Nachi Mafia, and I forgot the other guy's name, but he was cool.
So 3 months, so you must have taken to your training pretty quickly, and would you consider yourself like a natural?
For some things, like, I would say, like, the physicality part about it, and I don't know, just the physical, I don't know, fitness aspect of things, but, like, I think striking and, I don't know, to this day, just remembering matches in my head is always a big stress, but yeah, my strikes have gotten a lot better since then, and some other things also, so. And then 3 days after that 6-man tag, I had my first singles match with Cloudy, too, so that was just, yeah.
That's a big first singles match.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but...
I still get nervous when I get in there with Cloudy, because I'm like, man, his cardio's off the chain. He's going to kill me. So where did Tasty come from? So for anybody who doesn't know you, Tasty's your gimmick that just... It seemed to me, I don't know, like it just came out of nowhere, and I was like, this is gold. Like, I didn't even know what was happening, and one day I was like, this is the greatest thing right now, and everybody was biting on it immediately. So was that like your brainchild, or did it just kind of happen?
So, I will give a lot of credit to my homie Matt Lawson for this one. So, I remember it was like my second month of training. I just showed up, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell I want my character to be, but I was just like throwing stuff at the wall. And I think the word like thick, I was trying to get that over him, and I was realized, I think at the time, Jay Freddy and Puff were like the thick boys for like, I forgot where they were wrestling, but they were tag teaming as the thick boys, so I couldn't be the thick boy. So I was just like asking around, and then Lawson's like, Tasty, that's your word. I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna roll with this. And then for our first, like, gimmick-wise, for our first, my first match, me and Lawson were, like, a thrown-together tag team, so we're just trying to figure out, like, how we want to dress, what's our music, whatever. So we ended up, I think it was, like, 4th of July, right before that 6-man tag match. We were just driving down the road, just, like, typing in a bunch of different stuff in the YouTube, and it's like, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And then eventually Taylor Swift Shake It Off was what we went with. So pretty much our tag team gimmick ended up being what I went for as a singles wrestler. The only difference was we were a heel tag team for that 6-man tag match. So
okay.
Morphed it into what I want to be as the good guy, you know?
You just, I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is because I watch you guys, but like, you got over really quickly, and that's something that is difficult to do in the wrestling business, and I find it difficult to do at UPW because those fans expect a certain, I don't know, style, I guess you can call it, but you managed to get over rather quickly, and then you fit that style at the same time with the Tasty gimmick, and I told you in the process and Lawson, like, you guys were better in your first year than I have ever been, and I was just like blown away. Is that from like studying tape? Is it from going over stuff with, say, Maddock or Caden or whoever you're training with? Is it from being on the road? Like, where do you feel you got the most of that from?
I feel like at the time, it was just, I was trying to be at training as much as I possibly can, and then just whenever Caden or Maddox's like, oh, I got this many spots in the car, who wants in, just jump on that. So I think it was like 3 days a week back then. I was going every single night of training I could. And then I'm a big Gargano fan, so that's where most of my tape study is coming from.
Got it. That's a good guy to study, though.
Yeah.
So now you're not 10 years old anymore. You're a wrestler yourself. You just said Gargano is somebody that you're currently, you know, all about, and you study a lot of that tape. But who else currently are you watching going like, oh yeah, this is the guy right here?
Pete Dunne's the first one that comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
Other than Pete Dunne, I'm just trying to think. I don't know. I actually watch a lot of NXT UK too, just for like that kind of style of wrestling. Mm-hmm. Kind of has an influence on what I like to do. So there was actually a time where I almost stopped watching wrestling.
Really?
Around, like, I think I was in, like, 10th grade. I was just, like, you know, just mopey teenager, just, everything sucks, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I almost stopped watching wrestling, but then it was Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate at TakeOver Chicago was the one match that kept me hooked, so.
That's a good match to get you back into. I still remember that one clear as day. I love that match.
So good.
So now the pandemic hits and everything comes to a screeching halt for all of us. And you took that time to actually get even better. So was that like a light bulb in your head that was like, all right, when this is over and, you know, the fans are all coming back, I'm going to be better than ever? Or was it just kind of naturally flowing to you where you were just like, there's nothing else to do? Like, what was the actual, like, drive behind that?
So I kind of want to say it just happened because honestly, like before, like right leading up into the pandemic, I had that stereotypical, like, going to college, you get fat and out of shape, and then I feel like my matches were still fine. I just didn't feel like I was at the best I could be. And then like a few months in the pandemic and at home, it just, I think that's where the light bulb moment was. And I was just like, I don't know how long until I get to wrestle again. But I think my first goal is I wanted to come back and be able to wear trunks and not look terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which thankfully I was able to do that. But yeah, the second I got back to training, I took it, not that I didn't take it more serious in the first place, but I don't know, it's just, I think I went 4 months without getting the wrestle, and it was just that much more thankful for every time I could get back to training, or now with like matches happening again, New York's opening up more, it's just super cool, man.
Yeah, and I remember a few months back when I came up to the school and saw you, I was like, holy shit, you look great. And it just like blew my mind because I hadn't seen you in probably a year by that point.
Yeah, it was probably exactly a year then.
Yeah. When you're training and you're working out and you're doing whatever, do you have a certain type of music that you like to listen to get yourself in the zone? Or are you one of those guys that can just focus on the weights and just do your own thing?
So right now what I'm mostly doing is cardio. So my playlist say I'll either go out for a run for like 40 minutes. I'll try and run 75% of the time and walk the rest. Mm-hmm. Or so today I went on the treadmill for an hour. I was probably 45 minutes going, 15 minutes resting. So for cardio, my playlist is kind of just off the wall. But I guess the common denominator with all of the music I listen to for cardio is just high energy, fast pace. Like whether it's like something on the radio or a punk pop song from like 10 years ago, just fast pace, keep it going, you know? Okay. Where like, I don't know, if I'm doing lifting weights, it's, I try and fit in some more metal there. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of, aggression in the music kind of pushes out those last reps. I know that that's what I do when I'm doing cardio. I don't really care what I'm listening to. I could put a podcast on, but if I'm lifting, metal for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
can't listen to Taylor Swift when it's the weights. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So let's just stay on that real quick. So the Taylor Swift song for the entrance music, is that because like it fit the gimmick, or you liked the song, or was it a combination of both, or like how did that happen?
I think it's a combination of both, and then just going on that being obsessed with Gargano, since his old entrance music was like female vocals. I'm just like, I don't see a lot of guys using theme songs of like females singing it, though. Like, I want to hop on that because I think that's different too. So
right. Now, how do you feel comfortable behind a microphone too with your gimmick?
I would say right now that's probably the thing I'm the least confident with. Where I feel like where I am now, I'm proud of like where I am now, but I obviously wanting to get to the highest level I can. But promo-wise, that's probably the one thing where it's just like, ooh, okay.
No, that's fair. And I feel like that's something that a lot of guys who, even like in your case where you took naturally to some of the more physical aspects of it, that is where people get in their own heads. Because it's like, is this my gimmick that am I about to say something that my character would say? Or is this just me? Or am I paranoid? And it becomes a whole like internal battle when you get a microphone in your hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know the promos, at least in training that I've done, that I don't hate are the ones where it's just me being me.
Right.
Regardless of just like, instead of just like thinking out the whole promo as I'm saying a different part of it, you know? Like,
yeah. Do you find Tasty to be an extension of you, or is it a completely different character?
I would say it's an extension of me because, I don't know, there's always a part of me just like growing up that was kind of introverted and whatever, but as I got older, it's kind of becoming more outgoing and just more goofy, and I don't know.
No, it makes sense.
More out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move into the section of the interview where I ask you a bunch of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, first, to kick this off, give me your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers at the current moment.
Ooh, okay. So, I will put Drew McIntyre in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Out of being a pure mark, I would put Gargano in there. I would put Finn Balor for the third one. What am I doing for the last one? That's a great question.
Make it count.
I feel like I got to put Roman Reigns for the last one.
I mean, I think that's a pretty solid Mount Rushmore right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are all kicking ass right now, to be honest with you, so.
And that's me not thinking about it too much either.
Yeah, right,
So.
right. And I mean, that just goes to show that the first four people that popped in your head are, like, at the top of their game right now, I think.
Yeah.
Now, here's some questions, fun questions about your career. Who are some of your favorite opponents so far? And I say so far because what is this, your second year?
It'll be 2 years, like, match-wise next month, so pretty much 2 years, yeah.
You're still a baby.
So, I'll probably say a decent amount of names here. So, like, earlier on, Cloudy's obviously was my favorite opponent to start. I had 4 matches with Cam. Those were that was fun. That was a fun feud.
I remember
but,
those.
Like, nowadays, last November, me and Troy Cooper from The Process had a really good match that I can still watch and, like, not hate it at all. You know, that sometimes that's my gauge for, like, whether or not I like a match. I'm just so hard on myself that it's like, if I can watch it and not cringe and I actually like certain parts of it, love it.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, more recently, me and Gavin Glass have had a couple matches. The first one was all right, but the second one I really loved. That one will probably be out on YouTube in like a couple weeks. Okay. And then we actually have a last man standing match at our next Flower City taping. So
excellent.
That'll be my first weapons match. You should have seen me shopping in Walmart the other day. I got a couple trash cans, tables, steel chairs. Everyone thought I was crazy, but all right. Two more names.
That's that excitement, though. Like, you're like, oh, I finally get to use weapons in a match. I'm going to go get my own.
Yeah. And then more recently, H.C. Loke and Daniel Garcia are probably those are my 2 most recent singles matches. Would work those 2 any day of the week. So fun. Those
are 2 great names, too. You've been in the ring with a lot of great people in a short period of time.
Yeah. It's very exciting.
Well, staying in the same vein, do you have a list of guys that you haven't faced yet but you would like to face, or do you not really keep a list and just kind of roll with it?
I kind of have like a mental list in my head. Like, obviously Garcia was on that mental list where it's just like, oh, I really want to work him. Kevin Blackwood, Kevin Bennett, I want to work those guys. And then, like, more broadly for, like, younger independent wrestlers, I want to wrestle Alec Price, TJ Crawford. We'll see how things roll, because, like, I don't know, with that Garcia match, I didn't even know I was supposed to be on that show until the day before they announced the card, and then I don't even know my match until I get a screenshot from Matic, like, yo, this is cool. I'm like, what? Oh, word.
That's awesome.
Find out, yeah.
Okay, so with you being so young in the business, probably have like a vision for yourself and a bucket list of things you'd like to accomplish or places you want to go. Can you share some of that stuff with us?
Yes, I have a bucket list of like independent wrestling promotions. I want to wrestle at AIW eventually. I want to wrestle at Limitless Wrestling. H2O, I want to have a match there, which I'll be wrestling at the H2O Wrestling Center in a couple weeks for Cody Jenny's new promotion, NFW. So I want to work an H2O show eventually. That would be cool.
Awesome.
IWC in Pittsburgh. I want to wrestle there eventually. Just as many places as possible, you know. Those are the big ones for me. So,
would you say that as of right now, and maybe you don't because you're only a couple years in, but do you have like an end goal in mind? Like, if you had your perfect ending, what do you see? What are you striving for?
I want to be signed in NXT and hold a title in NXT.
That's a huge end goal. And you know what? Guys like you and the Process and Lawson, like, you're the guys who can do that. And I have all the faith in the world in you know, and I'm not saying that other people at Flower City don't, but like, I don't know, just watching you guys from your first matches to now, I'm just mind blown.
I remember I watched that 6-man tag the other night, and I was just like, wow, this wasn't even 2 years ago.
Now, but did you watch it back and cringe, or were you like, hey, for my first time, that wasn't so bad?
It wasn't so bad for my first time, but I still cringed no matter what.
That's fair. All right, so unrelated question now, real quick, before we start taking this thing home, is on this podcast, we talk a lot about music, we talk a lot about wrestling, but we also talk a lot about movies, specifically horror movies. Are you a horror movie fan like the Process is?
I'm not, but whenever like I'm on Netflix watching these new Netflix series, the ones I enjoy the most are like the horror, suspense, thriller kind of series, you know?
See, you're a closet horror fan. You don't even know you're a horror fan yet.
Right. I didn't think I knew I was a horror fan until you just said that. So.
See, this is now where I'm going to start texting you and being like, watch this, watch this, watch this. And you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to a horror convention soon. And be like, got him.
Hell yeah.
So listen, man, I wanted to thank you for being on the show and all that, but before I let you go...
Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, man. And, you know, we'll have you on again, of course, when we all get back in the locker rooms and that. I'm going to come up with some cool ideas to have, you know, a few of you guys on at the same time, and we'll shoot the shit about a bunch of different wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
But before I let you go, I want to make sure that my listeners who maybe don't know who you are yet can find you. So drop any social media or anything that you want to promote or anything that you have coming up, and just lay it all on the line.
So my Instagram is RealKmore01. Twitter is RealKmore1. My TikTok is Real Keenan Moore 2001. And then upcoming shows, July's looking exciting, I just gotta say that. I have a couple Flower City tapings, but I will be at the H2O Wrestling Center July 10th for NFW No More Tears. I will be in a 4-way match with Mike Skyros, Nick Sullivan, and Rick Recon for the Immortal Northeast Championship.
Excellent.
And then I can't say what I'm doing July 31st yet, but I just will say I'm excited about it, so...
All right. Well, we're going to be on the lookout for that one then, man. So,
hell yeah.
Thank you again. And I'm telling you, once we're back in those locker rooms, we're going to have some fun with this show and having you guys on and just bullshitting some wrestling. All right?
Yeah. UPW's back in September, so.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it, man. So I will see you there. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Alright, rockers, so that was Keenan Moore once again, and the song that you just heard on the outro there was from my album, Angels and Demons. That was called Hip Shaker, which you can get on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music. Wherever you get your music from, I'm there. Check it out. Support your host. Check out my Pro Wrestling Tees store, and don't forget to check out Death Comes Lifting. Always got to make sure we remind you guys about that. Fitness for the Misfits. Check it out. Join the Lifting Dead Army. They have a Patreon. DeathComesLifting.com is their website. And I thank you guys so much for joining us. I love when you guys stick around for all of our interviews, no matter who they are, and we get good feedback, and you guys are listening and downloading. So please make sure you're subscribing to the show because it helps us out greatly. And I appreciate you guys very much. So thank you, and we will see you next week.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.